Hello and welcome to Chef Carter's Cooking Corner. So today on Chef Carter's Cooking Corner, I'm going to be sharing with you 36 items that I keep in my pantry. And, you know, with the situation going on today, there's a possibility we may be quarantined. And so it's important for us not really to be scared, but we need to be educated and prepared. So this video is to help people who may not know how to bunker down, or, being stuck. Like for me, being from the Midwest, there are many a times we have been stuck indoors due to weather conditions being so bad outside. And so, it's something we've gotten used to, at least I have. And so that's why I usually have this stuff in my pantry. Um, and so maybe you're a young person who you're just living on your own and you don't know, or who knows what your situation is. But I hope this video will help you. So let's get started. All right. So the first thing on my list is oatmeal. So oatmeal is actually quite versatile. You can have it for breakfast. You can use it to make baked goods and like make a nice hearty oatmeal bread. You can use it to extend your meat. So what I mean by extend your meat is, let's say you have only 1 pound of hamburger. Well, you can add a couple of cups of oats to that, and it makes more meat or makes more servings of that meat. All right. The next thing I have is soup. Soup always makes a nice meal. Add a crusty piece of bread or a couple of crackers, and you really got something. The next thing we have is popcorn. So as you can see here, I have a lot of popcorn on hand, and that's because that's our #1 snack around here. And we have popcorn a couple times a week. The next thing we have tortillas and bread. So tortillas and bread are good because, for example, with the bread, you can have toast for breakfast. You can make sandwiches out of it. With the tortillas, it's the same thing. You can have burritos. You can make burritos out of your tortillas. Another thing I like to do with my tortillas is to cut it into strips and fry those up and then add eggs to it. And that makes a nice hearty breakfast. The next item on my list, crackers. Crackers are very good to have on hand. You can pair them with meat or cheese. They're a good substitute for bread if you run out of bread. Have it with the soup. Put a little peanut butter on those things. So sometimes just nibble on a cracker every once in a while. Alright, my next item, peanut butter. So peanut butter is quite versatile. You can bake with peanut butter, make peanut butter cookies, peanut butter sandwiches. You can make Thai noodles. Remember the noodles that you make? You put peanut butter and different spices. It's really good. I'll have to make that one day. I have a good recipe for it. Alright, the next thing is salmon. Salmon is really good to have on hand. You can make soup with it. I also make salmon patties with it. My next item, Spam. So Spam will last for a long time, and I like Spam. A lot of people don't like Spam, but I think it's really good. And so you can always, cut the Spam up and mix it and make like a stir fry with it, or cut it into thin slices and make little breakfast sandwiches or lunch sandwiches. My next item is coffee. So, okay, it looks like I have a lot here, but I usually save the containers and use them for other things. So I really only have 2 pounds of coffee. But coffee is something I drink almost every day. And if I don't have coffee, then it's the next item I keep in my pantry, which is tea. And I usually keep more of a variety of tea than this. Um, but, you know, having tea on hand is good. The next item, spices. So you want to make sure that you have the spices you use on hand. I like to get spices that are like a mix, like the Italian seasoning spice or the poultry seasoning spice. And so, like with that, you get several different spices. It's a spice blend, or the Lari seasoning salt. So you want to make sure to keep, your hot sauce on hand, your vanilla, your cinnamon, your nutmeg, your soy sauce, and things like that. All right, my next item, salt. You definitely want to make sure you have salt on hand. You don't need a lot of salt, but food without a little bit of salt is very bland. The next item I have is sugar, and here you can see I have different types of sugar. For one, I like to buy in bulk, and so like that honey is over a year old, but honey is one of those things that will last forever and a day. And so I have molasses because I like to bake, and if you're stuck inside, you definitely want to make sure, you can make your treats if you want to. Um, and so let's move on to the next item, beans. So having beans is very good to have on hand because beans are very nutritional and they will provide that protein if you run out of meat products or if you don't eat meat products. And so I have three different types. I have the dry beans, I have canned beans, and then I have this package of prepared beans that's already cooked. You basically just have to open it and reheat it. All right, so the next thing on my list, canned fruits and vegetables. And so this is good to have on hand. If maybe even during the year you just, oh goodness, I don't have any fruit. I want some fruit. Just open a can of fruit. Um, and so if you're stuck inside, you do want to make sure you're getting all your vitamins and minerals. So having canned fruits and vegetables is one way to do that. Another item I like to keep on hand is canned milk. And so a lot of people will also do the dried milk, but we happen to just do the canned milk. And so if you run out of your fresh milk, you always have this to lie back on. And then I like to keep flour and cornmeal. That way, I can bake different goods. If you run out of the bread and tortillas, you can always make your own. Okay? And so you can see I also have the cornmeal. And then that goes along with the yeast as well. So I like to keep a few packages of yeast so I can make my own bread if I need to. All right, along with that baking, you want to make sure you have baking powder and baking soda. Right, and also I keep a couple extra boxes of baking soda because you can use that for different things, such as cleaning and keeping your refrigerator smelling fresh. All right, my next item, cereal. That makes for a quick breakfast or snack. And then, of course, I always have to keep a little bit of beer and wine. All right, vodka and whiskey, that's optional for me, but I definitely have to have my wine and sometimes a little bit of beer. Not encouraging people to drink, but it's nice to have on hand. The next thing you want to keep in mind, or what I keep in mind, is having condiments on hand to help make food taste better. Next item, root vegetables. You want to make sure you have root vegetables because one thing, they have a long shelf life and they will provide you with those necessary vitamins and minerals. My next item are dry fruits. So here I have cranberries, raisins, and cherries, and those are good to have on hand. And you can use those to bake as well or put it in your oatmeal or cereal, what have you. And also, that's another way to make sure you're getting those nutritional vitamins and minerals. And going along with that, my next item, I keep on hand are nutritional shakes. And so if worse comes to worse, you can always, go a day or so with the nutritional shakes. So my next item is bottles of tomato sauce. And so I like to keep a couple on hand, and you can use these for a multiple things, such as, of course, making spaghetti, but also this can go in a little bit into like a soup, or you can make a little bit on one of those tortillas and make a pizza. All right. So tomato sauce is always a good thing. And again, we're thinking about those vitamins and minerals. My next item is I put these together, rice and pastas. So your noodles, the Kraft macaroni and cheese, the rice-a-roni. So, different types of rice and noodles I like to keep on hand. And then the next thing is vinegar. Um, I like to keep a little vinegar on hand, use it for a few different recipes. Also, vinegar can be used to clean things. So, it's nice to keep vinegar on hand. And it's one of those things that will last forever and a day. All right, the next item I have is cooking oil. And so cooking oil can also help you with baking when you're sauteing things up, whatever you do. All right, and then my next item is basically candies or little treats. Now, we're bad about keeping the treats because I usually make whatever we eat as a treat. But I do keep a little bit of candy on hand because my mother is diabetic, and sometimes just having that extra sugar will keep her sugar on point. Right. But again, like, this is pitiful. We only have 2 items. But that's all right. So the next few things, they're not really pantry items, but we keep on hand. A little bit of bacon. Bacon will last for a long time if it's in the original packaging. We happen to have ham shanks and beef sausage. And so we keep this in our refrigerator, and it's a good item to have in case you run out of meat, or you can't get to the store. You have that. And another item that will last forever and a day is cheese. So you can see we have a few packages of cheese here, and it's nice to have cheese on hand. Like you're making something, you're like, a little sprinkle of cheese would really set this off. Or if you decide you want to make pizza, again, using that tomato sauce in the jar on that burrito, not burrito, but on the tortilla, and then you sprinkle a little cheese, and bam, you got a nice little flatbread pizza. All right, my next item is butter. And I like to keep butter on hand for baking purposes. Sometimes in the morning, it's nice to have that piece of toast, just a little bit of butter, drizzle of honey. My next item, eggs. So eggs, we go through quite a bit, at least one per day. If we make a meatloaf, you need an egg. If you make cake, you need a couple of eggs. Sometimes we have a couple eggs in the morning. So eggs are very important for me and my family to have. And also, we don't eat a lot of the meat. We eat more eggs than we do meat. All right. And so one thing we also have to make sure that we have is pet food. So pet food, we have dogs, we have cats. So we need to make sure they're fed, especially one cat she has a special dietary need. So we definitely have to make sure to have her food on hand. Whereas the other two, they could just eat table scraps or whatever. But this one cat, she's very finicky. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you is something we ordered online, and that is an emergency supply kit. And it has 92 servings of food, 42 dessert servings, and we have beverages available. And so altogether it has 158 servings. And this has a shelf life of 25 years. So here's what's some of the items that are inside. We have noodle soup, uh, vegetable pasta, beans and rice. They have a milk alternative. They have yogurt and vanilla pudding. Also, did I say lasagna? They have oats, so we have plenty of oats. Cheesy lasagna, apple cinnamon cereal. So, this is also something that is good to have on hand just in case you run out of food. And so I don't know if we would ever get to that point, but it's always good to have on hand because you never know what might happen. It could be a tornado. You could be snowed in and several snowstorms come at once. And you want to be as self-sufficient as possible because the first responders are going to be busy enough. So, you want to be as self-sufficient as possible for as long as possible. All right, so I want you to make sure to be safe out there, and I don't want you to be scared. Just make sure you are informed. So just make sure you're informed and educated. So I keep telling people, don't be scared, be educated and prepared. And so with that, I wish you the best. Make sure to come back and watch my videos. Why don't you go ahead and click on a link to watch one of my different playlists. All right, thank you for stopping by.